What's up guys, Nathan here. I wanted to make a quick video that's basically a sequel to my last build diary because I've played a number of builds since then, as well as give you guys some pretty big news. And if you just want to hear the news and you're not actually super interested in the builds, skip to like this sort of timestamp. I don't actually know what the time is gonna be or where I'm gonna put the timestamp. I'm just gonna talk about the builds that I've been playing really quick because I know a lot of you guys did like the first build diary series, and there is one that I played extensively, and then there's 3 others that I played not so extensively, but I still want to go over them and talk about the shortcomings as to basically why I'm not playing them versus the other build that I have been playing a lot of. So the first build that I played since my Carrion Golem Elementalist was a Consecrated Path Berserker. And there's actually sort of a lot of story behind why I rolled a Consecrated Path Berserker. The main one is I really wanted to use Spore Guard. I wanted to see how the item works, how strong it is, because when you read the item, on paper it sounds pretty strong. It's got some built-in damage reduction, it's got like this pseudo Impulsa Chaos Explosion effect that only works in a small AoE. It drops this weird sort of fungal ground when you kill enemies, but really, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty disappointed by it overall. The cooldown on the level 10 Contaminate that it triggers and the AoE of the fungal ground are both sort of lackluster at best. And then I did pick Consecrated Path because I wanted to be able to sort of just teleport, become like immobile for just like a fraction of a second so I could drop the fungal ground and then slam the ground and get a good explosion. And even that like only worked like 50% of the time. I don't even have any footage for you, and I'm not going to sort of belabor this character, but really just a lot of this character did not pan out. For example, it was supposed to be a Nebulok Chieftain at first, and then I sort of thought about it a little bit more, and then I was like, well, the APS is gonna fucking be so slow, it's gonna feel terrible for everything other than like deep delving. So really just everything about this build was not going super well for me. And then I died during Merc Lab, which is just an embarrassment. I mean, Merciless Lab, I'm pretty sure I was like level 70, dying to level 68 Azaro. And at that point, I was just like, fuck it, this build is not that good. I don't know why I'm wasting my time on it, and I'm an idiot, and I'm bad, and I deserve to die. Like not me personally, but my character. So I called it quits on that character and decided to move on. The next character that I played was the typical Wander, and I actually do have a little bit of gameplay for you. I just did a couple of Blood Aqueduct clears earlier just to sort of show you guys how fast and fun it was. The main reason why I decided to make this character is, one, I wanted to make some more mapping videos, like 50 or 100 Elder whatever maps, and then also the Celestial Kinetic Blast, as well as the what is it, I think it's like the Sun, I want to say Sunspire, Sun Prism something, the Sun Prism Herald effect were both on sale, so I bought both of them, and then that's why this character is called Excuse for Herald MTX, because that was the main point of it. It was pretty fun, but as I was doing white maps, I was sort of feeling like, hey, I'm going to need a lot of damage to really scale this up here into red maps, because last time when KB was really powerful, that was back when KB like truly did shotgun as effectively as it should based on sort of reading the skill. That has since been nerfed. Abyss Jewels had a lot more damage to them, and Rares had a lot more life. So sort of just all these things combined together means you still can play a Wander if you really want to, but it requires a lot more investment, and I didn't really feel like I had the exalts necessary to make this character as sort of fun and late game effective as it sort of needed to be for me. Also, my friend started playing again, and he wanted to do some blighted maps, and I discovered how terrible proximity shields are when you're trying to do blighted maps. This was pre-proximity shield nerf, so they were just rampant, basically unplayable. So, just all of those things combined, I decided, okay, I'm just not going to play this Wander right now. I'll come back to him. All of his gear is intact, and I definitely plan on playing it at some point in the future, but right now, it's just wasn't what I needed. The next thing I tried was, I'm going to call it the medium mana brander, and that's just a Armageddon brand Hierophant. And I loved Armageddon brand when it first came out, I think in Betrayal, and it's still pretty fun. The damage is very solid, even though they pulled back on the numbers very hard. It's still very good, and the fact that you can have 2 of them on an enemy at once, and the fact that you can sort of spam brand recall to get these big shotgunning AoEs on bosses. The skill's mechanically pretty okay. And the survivability is very good. You can get a mana before life chest. You can take mind over matter. You can take, I think, divine guidance is what it's called, and you can just get a lot of tankability. I think by the time the build is done, it would have around 8k EHP, good life leech, good mana regen, really just a lot of solid stuff going for it. I was going to use Skyforth. I was using it Tiri Foible to get a lot of mana. Really just the build was coming together, but I got a little bit frustrated because part of the reason why I rolled a Brander was I wanted to do blighted maps with my friend, and I don't know why I thought this or heard this, but for some reason I thought that Brands pierced proximity shields, and again, this is pre-proximity shield nerf. And I was wrong. For some reason, I thought the damage would be coming from inside the shield because the brand is its own sort of sentient thing. Yeah, I was super wrong about that. I don't know why I couldn't just Google stuff. That does go back to just doing your research. I didn't do my research, fucked myself, and just the proximity shields drove me nuts. And then also this thing that if you've ever played Armageddon brand, this is something that didn't bother me so much the first time I played it, but I noticed it very acutely the second time. And that's that when you press brand recall, there's like a very significant delay before the brands activating actually deal their damage, because they fly over to your character and they do this cool animation where they fly up into the air and slam down. And I'm not going to lie, it's pretty cool. And I would say it's pretty fun if it weren't for the fact that it borderline gets you killed a lot of the time, or sometimes you have priority targets. I actually watched Octavian talk about this on a Bay class a couple months ago, I want to say, or maybe like a month ago. But yeah, like when you were doing it in Legion, you would try to target chests and they just wouldn't drop from the sky fast enough. Because just like it has to play that stupid animation. And at first, while you're leveling, it's not a big deal. And when I first played it in Betrayal, it didn't bother me so much. I probably was just a slightly newer player and didn't have like such a keen eye for these nuances. But the more you play it, the more it just becomes mind-numbing. Like why when Stormbrand deals its damage instantly, why does Armageddon Brand have to have this seemingly massive delay? So due to that and the proximity shield thing while trying to do blighted maps, I was just like, fuck it, I don't want to play this character anymore. He was great, got him to like 85 or whatever, but just not for me anymore. The last character that I played, and that's the one that you guys saw in yesterday's video, if you watched that, was a skeleton necromancer. And, I'm sure this surprises nobody that necro would be what I ended up going with. But I've always loved minions, and I knew necro was flavor of the month. And at this point, I was just frustrated with my horrible Spore Guard build, my sort of imminently expensive Wander, and my sort of mechanically flawed Brander. I was just like, at this point, I just want to roll something that I can finish up my Atlas, knock off Zana's questline, kill Uber Elder, kill Shaper, and just, feel okay with my progress in the league and stop feeling like such a slow, borderline noob player. So I decided to just roll this skeleton necromancer. I love skeletons because instead of having these minions that sort of just follow you around and kill things, you actually click on the packs to summon the skeletons. And for me, that alleviates a little bit of the lack of I want to say satisfaction you get from playing minion builds, because it does feel like you're right clicking on things and they're dying, even if you're summoning something that is going to do the killing for you. It just makes the build feel overall a lot more satisfying. So I do want to say Skeleton Necromancer was really dumb overpowered, as you might expect. Necro has access to so much survivability, so much damage, so much quality of life. I went Bone Offering, Roomies, got Spell Lock on my shield. I was rolling with almost max block, so even though I only had like 5.2k life, I was like doing, Guardian maps, halfway falling asleep because my character just wasn't taking damage. And then I would take a little damage and then I would heal up from all of the damage I would block after that. The only time I only would get unlucky was if I got one shot, and there were a couple of those instances. For example, like I decided to tank a Shaper Slam in the Uber Elder fight. You can see that in the video. I actually included that because I thought it was kind of funny. My block didn't, save me there, unfortunately. But yeah, overall, super fucking overpowered. Finished every single red map, killed Uber Elder, carried a couple of tier 15 blighted maps. My friend was like horrible DPS in comparison to my own, so really the damage of these skeletons were something else. I'd say the build was probably between 7 and 8 million DPS based on sort of triad grip not functioning in Path of Building. So it was pretty fucking good. And that was all on like 2 exalts of gear. The most expensive thing I had in that build was literally a level 21 Vol Summon Skeletons, which cost me like 70 chaos. So yeah, summoners are really good. They're probably going to get nerfed, not because I think they really need heavy nerfs, but mostly because I just know GGG loves to sort of balance with this crazy, scale right now where they make something ridiculously overpowered and then they beat it into the ground. I do hope that minions like Summon Raging Spirits and Skeletons get relatively untouched, because even though they do have access to insane damage on a very low budget, they've always had access to that. And just the fact that they require a little bit more interaction, you know, they're not quite as AFK as something like specters or zombies. Not saying specters and zombies are really AFK, because there's a lot of buffs and debuffs you have to maintain to play them optimally, but you know, at least with something like skeletons and some raging spirits, you have to constantly be putting those minions out. So that's kind of like another layer of work. And in my opinion, the more work you have to put into playing a build to make it really powerful, the more I think it should be allowed to get away with such insane budget to power ratios. Now that I've talked about this you know, fantastic little set of builds that I played for these past couple weeks, I want to give you guys a huge piece of news that I've been super excited. I've been wanting to talk about for the last couple of weeks, but I haven't been able to, and that is I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. In case you guys don't know, you've been living under a rock, or you just only use YouTube, twitch.tv is a platform for live streaming video games and other unrelated content. And I'm going to be streaming there, mainly just Path of Exile to start. And the thing that I'm going to do to make it a little bit more interesting for myself, because obviously playing softcore Path of Exile isn't the most challenging thing unless you really min-max and do crazy sort of map strategies, is I'm going to be playing solo self-found hardcore, by the way. Solo self-found, of course, for anyone who's a little bit newer. I can't party, I can't trade, and for me on Trade League, I'm always like day one buying all of my items before I even go into map. So this is going to be a crazy departure from the norm for me, as well as hardcore. And you guys know what hardcore is. You die, you're dead. And I don't remember the last character that I leveled that I didn't die at least once on, so that's also going to be a fun challenge for me. My schedule, just starting out, is going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays, starting at 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time, or Kansas time is where I live, and that sounds like a pretty, you know, short schedule. Obviously that's only going to be like probably 9 to 12 hours, but I'm just not sure how much people are going to be into it, so I want to sort of gauge the interests first. So at first we're just going to start with those 3 hours, three days a week, 3 to 4 hour streams, but I am definitely looking to heavily increase that if I just get at least the most minimal amount of engagement. That's really all I need to sort of go all in on that. I'm still going to be making my semi-weekly, you know, on average videos. They just might not be as in detail as some of my videos in the past, like yesterday's video, for example. My Twitch handle is going to be twitch.tv/NathanBrotherBob. It's been that way for a long time. You can actually go follow me right now, but there is going to be a lot of improvements I need to make before I'm ready to go live. And my first day streaming is going to be October 15th. The reason for that is I actually have some pretty serious family engagements that I have to do for the following week. I'm going to make a big announcement about that in my Discord and my Patreon. So if you want to join my Discord, or if you're supporting me on Patreon, you'll be able to see that there. But yeah, basically that's the reason why I won't be able to start until October 15th. It's just something I need to take care of, and it's important. So if you go and follow me, you'll be ready for me to go live October 15th at 2 p.m. And then I'll also be making some big improvements to the channel. Like right now it has a bunch of Dota related branding stuff, and then just a bunch of like random art that I took from Google Images. I want to sort of improve that, and I will be taking the time to do that before I actually go live. But if you follow now, you'll be ready for me to go live when the time comes. That's pretty much all I have for you guys. I'm super excited to stream. Seriously, it's something I've been talking about. I've talked about with you know, supporters and Discord members and, you know, people in the comments on my YouTube videos for such a long time, and I'm really excited to do it because in the past I've just sort of done like one-off things, like, oh, like let's stream a Dota Battle Cup, or let's stream like a softcore league start. You know, this has just been spur of the moment stuff, and now I'm going to have a much more dedicated schedule, and I'm hoping that this is going to be just a new community building opportunity for me, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to come in that stream and maybe learn some stuff, or maybe teach me some stuff about the solo self-found hardcore gameplay life, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This has been Nathan, and I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you on Twitch even sooner.
Thank you!